Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alrighty, so today I, a cigarette smoker, am going to be drinking a Dark and Stormy for the first time, which is a rum and ginger beer based highball cocktail that is currently owned and trademarked by Gosling's Rum of Bermuda. Now, Gosling's Rum of Bermuda is not sold in my local area. I have not found any as of this point in time. And so as such, well, today I am going to be using an alternate rum, which means that today I am going to be, well, making an illegal Dark and Stormy. Hopefully, Gosling's Rum of Bermuda does not show up at my house to break my kneecaps and kick my dog. That would suck quite a bit, but it would be what it be, I do suppose. Hopefully, the experience I'm going to have from a Dark and Stormy today is a good enough experience to make me not care whether my kneecaps get broken or not. But as a whole, I certainly am looking forward to drinking a Dark and Stormy for the first time today. I've never actually had ginger beer before, and so as such, I'm quite curious to find out just what ginger beer actually tastes like, and I'm quite curious to find out how it's going to pair with rum as well. And just in general, I'm looking forward to finding out whether I like Dark and Stormy cocktails or not. Will I like a Dark and Stormy or will I not? I don't know, but I'm looking forward to finding out, and I'm looking forward to letting you guys know my overall thoughts on this cocktail for the first time today. But what is the recipe I'm going to be using during this video? Well, today I am going to be mixing half a cup of Barrett's ginger beer from Bermuda with 3 tablespoons of Appleton Estate Signature rum, along with half a tablespoon of lime juice. And that's the plan at least. Half a cup of Barrett's, 3 tablespoons of Appleton Estate Signature, and half a tablespoon of lime juice. That's the plan. So, without further ado, I think I should probably go ahead and get to mixing now, shouldn't I? So I'm going to go ahead and put my camera just over here, just so y'all can see what I'm doing and everything like that. And now that I have put the camera just right over there, I am now going to go ahead and grab my glass that I've got with me today. I'm going to take out all my measuring tools out of it. And what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to go ahead and get my bottle of Barrett's ginger beer all opened up, just like that. And the bottle cap just went right in this cup and then right onto the ground. Let's pick that up so I don't forget about it later. Can't be littering, of course. And now that I have put the bottle cap back on the table I am sitting at, let's go ahead and take my little bit of a half cup I've got right here, and let's go ahead and pour half a cup of the Barrett's ginger beer, just like that. And I am not really thinking that's going to be enough, in all honesty, so I might just quickly double the recipe and go for, I'm thinking, I'm going to try, just 1 full cup of ginger beer, 6 tablespoons of rum, and 1 full tablespoon of lime juice. I'm just going to try going for that, because this does not seem like it's going to be enough, I'll be honest, y'all. So there we go, just like that. I can always add a little bit more if needed a little bit later, but let's go ahead and get my rum all opened up just real quick. Just, if I possibly can, just like that. And let's go and add in my 6 tablespoons of rum that I need to add. Just like that. Well, the recipe I was looking at said I needed, oh man, I'm spilling rum. This bottle does not want to pour properly. That's 3 right there. The recipe I was looking at was telling me I only needed like 4 ounces of ginger beer with like 3 tablespoons of rum and then just a little bit of lime juice. It just doesn't really seem like enough to me, I'll be honest, y'all. Maybe I'm completely messing this up, I'm not sure. But there's 4. There's 5. And there's 6 just about. And now let's go and add a full tablespoon of lime juice as well. Because I am doubling the recipe just because it seems like it's not really quite enough. Just like that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go and stir it all together. I don't know if you're really supposed to stir dark and stormies, I'll be frank with y'all. I think the reason the recipe was probably so low was because they did say to use ice. Now, I don't own an ice maker, and I don't have any ice I can use right now, so I'm not going to be using any ice in this dark and stormy. But the Barrett's ginger beer, it's not room temperature. It has been in the fridge for the last couple days now, so that's all cold. Hopefully it'll make this entire drink cold enough to drink. But hopefully that should be all mixed up now. I do hope at least. And hopefully that'll work just fine for the dark and stormy I want to have for my first ever experience with, well, a dark and stormy. So I'm going to go and put that on the table. I'm going to go move kind of all of my materials to the side. I'm going to go and put the cork back in here. And before I go ahead and take a sip of a dark and stormy for the first time, I actually real quick want to take a sip of ginger beer for the first time. I've never actually had ginger beer before. And that is one of the reasons why I'm so curious to try, well, this cocktail, I'll be frank with y'all. But I feel like it's probably a good idea to take a sip of ginger beer to just kind of experience what it's like so I can really nail where the different flavors of the dark and stormy are really coming from. So let's go and take a sip of some Barrett's ginger beer from Bermuda. Let's see how it is. Let's give it a go. And then after that, let's go and have some, well, of my dark and stormy after I grab myself a little bit of a screenshot, I do think. The smell from this is very, very, very gingery. Very pickled gingery. Like ginger you get from a, like a sushi restaurant in the United States or something like that. Oh, wow. You know, I was honestly kind of unsure whether I was going to like drinking ginger beer or not. I like this, though. This is pretty nice. This is quite sugary as well. How much sugar is in it? This has, oh my God, 49 grams of sugar. That's more than a Coca-Cola. Oh my God. This is a lot of sugar. At least it's pure cane sugar. At least it's not like high fructose corn syrup, but 49 grams of sugar in this, what is this, 12 fluid ounces? That's nuts. That is so much. That's more than like a 15.9 fluid ounce like Coca-Cola. That is ridiculous. Yeah, I'd have to say I like ginger beer. It's like it really is just like I like ginger ale. I'm a big fan of ginger ale. I like my Boylan ginger ale to be precise, which is a brand that I really like a lot more so than not. I think it's sold in the United States, and I believe it's also sold in Mexico, I want to say as well. I don't know if it's sold anywhere else in the world though, but I really like Boylan ginger ale. And this ginger beer, it literally just tastes like a more intense version of ginger ale, frankly put, and I really like that. It's quite nice. Well, let's go ahead and just take a little bit of a smell of this, and I'm getting a lot of rum and a little bit of ginger beer as well. And that makes sense because those are the two main ingredients of this drink. Yeah, really just smells like ginger beer and rum, in all honesty. Well, I do think without further ado, before I go ahead and get a sip of my drink going, I think I should probably grab myself a little bit of a screenshot real quick. And I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. Do I want to have the rum in the screenshot or do I want to have the ginger beer in the screenshot? I'll grab one of each, I do think. So let's go ahead, just grab my ginger beer and let's go like that. Alrighty, I'm gonna grab one with my rum as well. And I can decide later on which one I want. Alright. Well, hopefully those will work for some screenshots for the thumbnail of this video. I do suppose now that I've done that, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and actually take a sip of my first ever Dark and Stormy. And I suppose I should probably go ahead and let y'all know just how a Dark and Stormy is and what I think of a Dark and Stormy based off this first initial experience at least. Excuse me, just had to burp real quick though. But, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a sip of my first ever Dark and Stormy, and let's find out just how it is. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying. That's quite nice. That's quite nice. Yeah. I think I maybe could have gone for just a little bit less rum. Not because it's like rough or anything, just because the rum is kind of overwhelming the flavor of the ginger beer just a little bit. But the flavor I'm getting in the background, it's very much that of that very sort of ginger beery flavor, but it's toned down by the rum quite a bit. And the rum is very much giving me a sort of sweet, I'd have to say fruity-like flavor in it. I should have sipped some Appleton Estate straight before this so I could really get an idea of what it tasted like. I've had it straight before, but it's been a minute. Very nice, very interesting. I would have to say that right off the bat, at least, I do like Dark and Stormies. Just as easy to make as a rum and coke, but it's just a little bit different. That's quite nice. And I would have to say, like, rum and cokes, they're really nice. I really like them, but they can be a bit overwhelming at times. But while this ginger beer on its own by itself is very sweet, like with rum and cokes, in my opinion, which is like my personal favorite cocktail or highball, with rum and cokes, a lot of times, the sweetness of the coke is still very prevalent, but the rum does tone it down a little bit. But the rum does an even better job at toning down the sweetness of the ginger beer than in a rum and coke. Like, this is a bit too sweet for me, frankly put, this Barrett's ginger beer. It's a bit too sweet for me to drink just straight. But the spiciness of it makes it more tolerable. And it's also just less kind of syrupy as well, just because it's using cane sugar and not using high fructose corn syrup. But, no, this is quite pleasant. This is, no, very nice. Very nice, if I do say so myself. Not bad at all. Yeah, you get that sort of mildly sort of spicy, sort of ginger beer-like flavor. It's been toned down enough where it's more like a ginger ale-like flavor, though. It's more like Canada Dry now, rather than anything but a better Canada Dry, because it's not using high fructose corn syrup. But the rum really does tone it down. It tones down the ginger beer and makes it into sort of more of a ginger ale-like flavor. And then the rum itself gives you a little bit of an alcohol kick in the back of your throat, just a little bit of hotness, I'd have to say. But not like much. It's very smooth. Both of these pair together very well, and they make for a very smooth drink as a whole. And you get a little bit of a sort of like, I'd have to say like fruity, slightly fruity flavor. There's a little bit of citrus definitely coming from the lime juice as well. But the rum, it just gives you sort of an alcohol-y, slightly fruity flavor, in my opinion. And it really does just disappear. Like, I'm like just thinking, and I've got the aftertaste in my mouth, and I'm just trying to find intricacies of the rum itself. Like, a lot of times, like rum and cokes and like other like cocktails I've tried before, I'm trying to find like the intricacies of everything, just like I do with tobacco products. But the Appleton Estate Signature, it's known as a very good mixing rum. And I've only ever mixed the Appleton Estate Signature in rum and cokes before. But I think it's now clicked why it's such a good mixing rum. Because it disappears into the flavor of whatever you're mixing it into so well. Like, I'm getting a little bit of a rummy flavor, but that's about it. I'm maybe getting a little bit of a fruity flavor, maybe some sort of like tropical fruits like sort of flavor from the Appleton Estate Signature, but I'm really not getting much at all. Let's just take a look. Does it say a fresh peach with a subtle hint of sweet molasses? So yeah, like fruity and molasses, and that's, I'm like, I'd have to say I'm getting like a little bit of like a sweet taste from the rum for sure, and a little bit of like a fruity taste as well. Yeah, very interesting, and it really does just disappear so well into the flavor of the ginger beer. I gotta admit, I see why Appleton Estate, people call it a bar staple for mixers, and I think it's clicked as to why it is. It's now clicked as to why it is one, because it really does just melt into the flavor of the ginger beer just so well. I'm gonna take one more sip though and let y'all know what the taste is once and for all. So, you know, the flavor is very much that of a predominantly gingery sort of like just ginger flavor. It's like ginger, but it's not quite as intense as it was just drinking straight ginger beer. It's more like ginger ale now. So sort of a ginger ale-y flavor with an undertone of some sort of like fruity, sweet alcohol sort of flavor coming from the rum. And then there's a little bit of other citrus flavor in there as well. That I feel like is coming from the lime juice. And that's very much what the flavor of the Dark and Stormy is really like. There's not like an exorbitant amount of undertones by any means. I feel like if you're looking for undertones, you're actually better off going for a rum and Coke in all honesty, because Coke on its own has some good undertones. But ginger beer, to me at least, it's just kind of gingery in all honesty. There's not like an exorbitant amount of undertones. But this doesn't need an exorbitant amount of undertones. It doesn't. The Appleton Estate Signature pairs very nicely with the ginger beer, and it just kind of melts in there, and it tones down the ginger beer just a little bit, both sweetness-wise and just taste-wise, and it's just very good as a whole. Yeah, the flavor of a Dark and Stormy is very much that of a ginger ale, rummy, slightly sweet flavor, with the ginger ale flavor having been kind of toned, or the ginger beer sort of flavor, which is now kind of a ginger ale flavor. Got more jumbled up. I'm trying to think of like the best way to describe this, and it's kind of difficult in all honesty. But I think the best way to describe it is that it's got a gingery ginger beer flavor that's been toned down to almost a ginger ale level, and then under that there's sort of a rummy alcohol sweet flavor like cane sugar or molasses, with this specific rum giving me a little bit of a fruity flavor as well, and then under that there's a little bit of a more sort of citrusy sort of flavor coming from the lime juice. And that's very much what the flavor is like as a whole, and it tastes fantastic. It really does taste very, very, very nice, if I do say so myself. Yeah, I ain't got no complaints on my behalf about a Dark and Stormy, frankly put. I had never tried ginger beer before this video, so I honestly wasn't sure if I was going to like a Dark and Stormy or not, but I wanted to find out. And I'm so glad I decided to find out, because I can say I think I might like Dark and Stormies a bit more so than not. I think I can say I may like them a bit more so than not. I'll be honest, y'all. But the real question is, does a Dark and Stormy pair well with a drink? Does a Dark and Stormy pair well with a drink? That's what we gotta find out, y'all. So without further ado, let's go and get this pack of drinks all opened up. Let's go ahead and we'll just pull that out, because need to open up the new side, just like that. And let's find out whether one of these pairs nicely with a Dark and Stormy or not. And I'm definitely starting to feel a little bit of an alcohol buzz from this Dark and Stormy, I'll acknowledge y'all. Yeah, they're quite nice. They're quite nice. I'm honestly surprised at how sweet ginger beer is, though. I had heard it was like really spicy and stuff like that kind of thing, but it's honestly not as spicy, and it's a lot sweeter than I thought. Maybe it's just Barrett's, I'm not sure. But it's very interesting. I wouldn't recommend trying to substitute ginger beer for ginger ale. It's just not going to work. You're going to tone down the ginger ale way too much. But ginger beer with rum, make it a Dark and Stormy, very nice. Very nice. Well, without further ado, I do think it's time for me to go ahead and get my drink all lit up. And I think it's time for me to go and find out whether a Dark and Stormy pairs well with one of these. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm trying to think like what drink would pair best with the Dark and Stormy, and I'm thinking it's something with like a little bit of a fruity flavor and something with like a slightly spicy flavor as well. Yeah, American Spirit Black, in all honesty, would probably be the greatest pairing. Now I've got some all-natural native Canadian full flavors with me today, so not an American Spirit Black, but let's take a sip of this. And let's take a sip of this. Nah, it's not bad. Not a bad pairing by any means. I think there are better drinks out there that would pair better with this drink. I think there's definitely products out there that would pair a little bit better with the Dark and Stormy, to say the least. But, you know, it's not bad to have a little bit of a stogie and a Dark and Stormy by any means. Is a Dark and Stormy something that I would want to drink a cigar to? That I would want to drink some pipe tobacco to? No. I really would not, in all honesty. Maybe, possibly, like a straight Virginia pipe tobacco. Maybe. That's a hard maybe. For me, I wouldn't really, I'm like, drinking straight rum, I think is great with a cigar. And I think it can work well with some pipe tobaccos as well. A rum and coke, I think, can pair very nicely with a cigar and with some other stuff as well, kind of thing, like some pipe tobaccos. But with this, I'm trying to think like pairings, and the best I can think of is either straight Virginia or Virginia Perique pipe tobacco. Those are what I'm thinking would pair best. I'm actually thinking like a really heavy on the Perique, Virginia Perique pipe tobacco would probably pair best with a would probably pair best not just with a Dark and Stormy, but just in general ginger beer, because it's got that little bit of spiciness to it from the Perique, but it's got a little bit of like a fruity flavor and a little bit of sweetness going on from the Virginia and everything like that kind of thing. Yeah, if you were gonna drink a Dark and Stormy, or if you're just gonna straight up drink a ginger beer and have some pipe tobacco or cigarettes at the same time, I really do think the best bet would be to have a either straight Virginia or preferably a heavy Virginia Perique. Heavy on the Perique. Doesn't have to be heavy nicotine-wise, but heavy on the Perique. And man, let me tell y'all what, it is so pretty out here right now. The sun's kind of going down just a little bit. It's windy today, but I'm just seeing the kind of sun just reflecting off the clouds, and I'm seeing the blue as well, and it's really nice. This is a gorgeous day. This has been a gorgeous day to drink a Dark and Stormy. It's not Dark and Stormy out here by any means, I will acknowledge. It was a little bit cloudy when I was first getting set up for this video today, but it's gotten just kind of partly cloudy now. So I can't really make a Dark and Stormy joke about it being Dark and Stormy today while I'm drinking a Dark and Stormy now, can I? But it's quite nice. It's quite nice. It's beautiful weather, to say the least. And this drink I've got with me today, while it's not the greatest pairing with the Dark and Stormy, I will readily acknowledge, it's certainly better than nothing, that is for sure. And it's certainly not a bad pairing either. This is very much a more fruity tasting cigarette in my personal opinion. And due to that, I think it pairs quite well with the Dark and Stormy. Yeah, overall, good drink, good times. Yeah, good drink, good times, y'all. I think I can say for sure I like Dark and Stormies, and I think I can say for sure I'm going to be drinking more of them in the future. And I'm trying to line up my last hit of this with my last sip, because I've only got a little bit left. I think we got like one more sip left. So I'm trying to line up my last sip of everything together and everything like that. Do I think a dark and stormy would be better with ice? I mean, like, that's how a dark and stormy is meant to be made. As long as everything's cold, you're all good. That's kind of my personal take, I suppose. Are there any cigars I think would pair nicely with a dark and stormy? If you're gonna smoke a cigar with a dark and stormy, I think you're gonna want to go with a Connecticut cigar, something like, let's say, the Romeo y Juliet Reserva Real, or something like that kind of thing. I think that would probably pair best with the dark and stormy. I think it just has a more nutty, sort of less cocoa-y taste to it, a more sort of chocolatey or coffee or toffee like tasting cigar. I think would not be the greatest pairing with a dark and stormy. Because it just contrasts too much. But I do think a Connecticut wrapper cigar that's more of a more mild cigar and has just sort of like a roasted peanut texture, or not texture, taste. I think that would pair pretty well with a dark and stormy as well, and with just ginger beer in general. So yeah, if you're gonna have a cigar with a dark and stormy, I think you're gonna want to go for a Connecticut cigar. If you're gonna have pipe tobacco, I would have to say go for either straight Virginia or Virginia Perique. And if you're gonna have a smoke, American Spirit Blacks. Those are kind of my personal take, at least, or something more fruity than, not like, let's say, the American Spirit Grays or the American Spirit Dark Blues, or something a little bit nutty as well, maybe, or the American Spirit Full Body Reds, or what I've got with me today, which is not a bad pairing by any means. It's not the greatest pairing, not as good as an American Spirit Black would be, but not a bad pairing by any means. Chungwas would be quite nice with the dark and stormy, I'll be frank with y'all. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and drink the last of my dark and stormy. And that was quite nice. Smooth all the way through. Very smooth, very nice. And I think I'm going to go and finish this off and just let y'all know my final thoughts on a dark and stormy and give it a rating as well, based off of my first experience at least. Now, I'm not really an expert when it comes to alcoholic drinks. I'm not really an expert when it comes to cocktails or anything like that kind of thing. So do take what I say with a grain of salt, but I personally do think that the dark and stormy I had today was quite nice and was quite smooth. I really didn't get any sort of roughness from, and I'm just gonna, it's a little bit breezy, so the ash is kind of flying everywhere, so I'm just gonna go and throw my cigarette butt in my ashtray that I've got with a lid down here. But what are my final thoughts on the dark and stormy? Well, overall, it tasted quite nice, in my personal opinion. I got a very nice sort of, well, ginger ale, because the rum really did tone down the ginger beer-like taste and made it more of a ginger ale-like taste. But it was sort of like ginger ale, fruits, like cane sugar molasses, alcohol rum sort of flavor. Like, that rummy flavor is definitely in there, but it really does kind of soak into the ginger ale or ginger beer sort of flavor quite well, in my personal opinion. And then out of that, I just got a little bit more of a sort of citrusy like taste, and that's very much what the taste of the ginger beer was like. Overall, very smooth all the way through. I got no sort of harshness from the rum at all, even though I did double the recipe, no problems at all. And overall, was just a very nice drink that got me a little bit buzzed. I'm feeling a little bit buzzed right now, so I certainly can't complain. And was just great tasting as a whole. Frankly put, I like dark and stormies, and I really want to try a legal dark and stormy now. I want to see how a dark and stormy is with some actual Gosling's rum. As said, it's not sold in my local area. I haven't found Gosling's rum yet. I haven't been able to give it a go quite yet. But whenever I do find it, I'm going to be having to get some, and I'm going to be having to make a legal dark and stormy and find out just how it is and what I think of it and everything like that, kind of compared to my illegal dark and stormy that I made during today's video. Overall, I think I can say with confidence that I do indeed like dark and stormy as a cocktail. I do like dark and stormies, and I can see myself drinking a decent amount more of these in the future, especially since I have 4 more bottles of Barrett's ginger beer, because I had to buy a whole 4-pack to get just one. But I ain't got no complaints on my behalf. I'll acknowledge y'all. This was a good experience. This was a good drink. And overall rating wise, what would I give a dark and stormy? I'd give it a high 3 to 4. I don't feel like it's quite exactly perfect. I don't think it would. I haven't tried a lot of cocktails, I'll acknowledge y'all. And I think there probably are other cocktails out there that might be more to my personal preference. But this is still a very good cocktail, and I'm going to be definitely drinking more Dark and Stormies in the future. And I can see myself enjoying them. Even after I finish off the other 4 bottles of ginger beer I have, I can see myself enjoying them a lot more in the future, frankly put. So, you know, it's getting a high 3 out of 4. My rating scale goes from a 1 to 4, with 1 being like, this is terrible, never drink this. A 2 being like, this is okay, I wouldn't drink it again, but maybe some people would like it. A 3 is like, hey, this is pretty dang good, I'd drink it again for sure, but it's not the best thing ever. And a 4 to 4 is like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. I don't know if I have really a 4 out of 4 cocktail quite yet, but a high 3 out of 4 is where rum and coke is, and a Dark and Stormy is right around the same levels of rum and coke to me. I like Dark and Stormies just as much as I like rum and coke. So I certainly got no complaints on my behalf, because I am a fan of rum and cokes, I will admit. But, you know, certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video today, where I, a cigarette smoker, tried a Dark and Stormy for the first time. If you guys have enjoyed watching today's video, of course, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. Box, and my second channel all in the description down below. Go check it all out. But, yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Till the next one, stay safe and peace, and have a great one. Yes, sir, and I'm saying.